to you from SupplySide West here in Las Vegas. It's great to be back in 2021. I'm Steve Myers, Content Director of Natural Products Insider, and with me is our first-timer, Editor Duffy Hayes,
Hi there.
who walked the floor for the first time because he joined us during the pandemic. And so we're excited to be back here in Vegas, and we're excited to share all this fun with Duffy.
Yeah, it's been amazing. What an awesome show. What a time to be a first-timer here. Just the energy at the show is amazing, and you can tell people are really excited just to be back live and doing business on the show floor the way it should be.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, what I heard, now you walked the floor way more than I did because I had different things I was doing. We both did some education, so we definitely had some report there. But you walked the show floor, and I didn't walk show floor so much.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things you saw out on the show floor?
There's a lot. My feet are definitely tired. I got lost a few times here. I guess one of the first impressions I had of the show was, you talk to people, and the show, it's great. It's a big event, as it's been in past years. But I think a lot of people were missing the, thousands of our friends from China and India and Europe. I think, I'm looking forward to next year when it will be a truly international show. But I'm really proud of the way Informa put on a safe and secure show for everybody. I think people really appreciated that. So I think the energy was amazing, just top level impression. People were really excited to be here, and it's great to just have the industry, back in action pretty much.
Yeah, and in years past, when you go back before the pandemic, this show could get pretty crazy.
I imagine.
And so talking to people, they were saying, yeah, that was great and all on some level, but you would have these conversations, people were constantly interrupting you, people had no time, they were short, there was a lot of ground to cover, and that, for getting back, it was great to get back, and there was a little bit more breathing room, meaningful conversations, you can learn more from each other, and so I think that was a really great takeaway
for sure.
For this particular show, first time back.
Yeah, I'll tell you, to get into some of the specifics that people were talking about, I think one of the main undercurrents, though, that I heard from a lot of people was, dealing with the supply chain. I heard it from almost everybody. I know when the pandemic hit, supply chain really came to a grinding halt, and we were hoping that it would be back up and running, and people wouldn't be dealing with, ingredient shortages and supply issues. But I heard from a lot of people that it's something they were dealing with. On more than one occasion, I heard about a shipping container from China is up like 330% over last year. I've heard that a few times. And so it was interesting to hear how people were trying to deal with that added cost and sort of plan for the future, because I think it's something that's going to be with us for at least the near term. It looks like there's going to be some supply constraints. So that was interesting as well.
Absolutely. It's not something that can sort of right itself in a short way, and it's really something that people were talking about it from all points in that supply chain, from the source, whether it's China or somewhere else. Is it a closure? Is it a delay? Is it a problem getting out of the port? Are there some political issues in that particular region or country? Are there and then it's the shipping of it. Then where are the ships coming into port in the U.S.? Is it slow? Can they get unloaded? Are there truck drivers to deliver it? It's all these things, and then it's also the materials themselves.
Right.
Is there material? The demand is up, so it's not even so much like in some cases it's just about the extra demand and meeting the extra demand. Like you have your regular orders and you were set for that, but the demand's through the roof.
Right.
And so okay, so we had enough and now we don't have enough, and then your usual places of turning to might not be able to service you because they're sort of triaging, hey, we only have so much, so we're going to give these customers priority, and sorry, you'll have to go somewhere else. So it really runs the gamut.
Yeah, and finding new suppliers in this environment is extremely difficult, but everyone's kind of feeling the pressure to do it, I think. Along those same lines, I mean, we've had sort of strategies for just-in-time inventories over the past, and that seems to be a strategy that no one can follow at this point. It's pretty much gone, and and it looks like that's for the foreseeable future, just the way that the market's shaking out, which is a really interesting development operations-wise, I think.
And lastly on that, I've heard a lot about the personnel issue, right? We've heard so much about this beyond our industry, and in talking to people, it wasn't even so much that they lost a significant number, they might have lost a small percentage, but it was about the fact that the demand requires them to add people.
Yeah.
And so even if they lost a couple, or lost nobody, they have to find people to meet the expanded demand, and that's been an interesting issue.
Yeah, I mean, demand. Our business has benefited, for lack of a better term, with the pandemic and the situation, and people are dealing with constraints every day to try to meet that demand in lots of different ways. Like you said, people, ingredients, even packaging, things like that are very. There's a lot of challenges out there, I guess is what I'd say.
Yeah, and despite all the challenges, there was a lot of demand, but every company had operational challenges. Yet there's still product launches. There's still product launches here.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of excitement. I heard about a lot of things in the pipeline. When you walk the floor, from an ingredient standpoint, what are some of the things that stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, biggest is immunity. Obviously, that is everyone's talking about it, but it really goes beyond simple immune health ingredients. And now you're talking about Immune Plus. There's a lot of formulations, Immune Plus Wellness, Immune Plus Energy, Immune Plus Sleep. They're finding creative ways they know people are looking for immune solutions, but they're combining it with other functional ingredients and different product categories. So it's sort of the next level for immune health, I think, is what you're seeing in terms of new product launches here. Other trends, obviously, that have been ongoing are like plant-based and clean label, and those are things that are readily obvious on the floor from a lot of the companies.
Yeah, I talked to some companies really leaning in and finding success with the clean label, which has been talked about for a while, but it's finally really starting to pick up steam. Definitely there's CBD is still out there in good amounts.
Mm-hmm.
Nicely, we've seen an uptick in women's focused products, women's health, and of course we just published our Natural Products Insider Women's Health issue with an awesome illustrated cover. That's out, so go to naturalproductsinsider.com and check out that for sure. Anything else that you saw trending?
I mean, you're right about women's health. It's showing it's branching out into lots of different categories, non-traditional, and they're aiming it at women, which I think is really an important direction. One that stood out to me was collagen and collagen peptides. Collagen's been around for decades, but it's collagen peptides in particular have sort of been mainstreamed by celebrities recently, and you're seeing that it's a product and an ingredient that's reaching younger and younger demographics, and that sort of manifests in new product formats. You've got gummies and RTDs, and lots of different ways that they're trying to offer collagen peptides. And there are companies here who've been offering it for decades, and the market is sort of coming back to them. And I think it shows that we're really trying to reach younger and different demographics with supplement ingredients, and those younger people, they want functional ingredients. They know a lot. They're seeking out the science, and the savviest brands and ingredient providers are rising to meet that demand. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, and on a different angle, maybe going a lot younger, but gummies seem to really be carrying their steam.
Yeah.
But also related to women's health, because we covered it in the magazine, a lot of companies really leaning in hard to stress, mood, and sleep.
Yeah, you're right.
And that, of course, cuts across. It's not just for women; it's for everyone. And we talked about it in our esports session. But that's another area. Any final thoughts or areas that you saw?
The one thing I'd mention is probiotics. We've had strain specificity and lots of science behind that, but it's reaching. Probiotics are going beyond the GI tract, and I think you're seeing that in a lot of different ways. One really interesting ingredient I saw was from Lanza, and essentially it's derived from Taiwanese kimchi, and their studies showed that it enhanced exercise and endurance, and so they're aiming it at a sports nutrition audience. Nice. Which is interesting. You wouldn't think to take a probiotic to have great stamina on the treadmill or whatever you're doing, but it's also emblematic of reaching these new product categories, new demographics, and we're seeing a lot of science behind probiotics, and that's really exciting too.
Well, probiotics have been talked about in sports nutrition, but it's nice to finally start hearing about some really specific products coming out.
Yeah.
And on that note, it was really nice to see that despite the pandemic and the challenges, we're seeing new research results, new publications of research, across the board. You mentioned one, I learned about several. So So really, quite a different show this year. I'm glad you finally got to experience it.
Me too.
But altogether, there was still a lot going on. It wasn't just about being back. That was a big part of it, and it made everyone happy. I see the relief, the excitement to see people, but there's still new stuff going on, and I'm glad you're able to pick out some new stuff in your first time out. And we're thankful for everyone for tuning in to hear our thoughts on SupplySide West 2021.
Tell them about your supply chain.